There are two powers in the world. One is the sword and the other is the pen. There is a third power stronger than both of these, and that is of women. Hello and a very warm welcome, viewers. You're watching this special presentation of Sunset TV on how women entrepreneurs are shaping India's future. Women entrepreneurs and their increasing presence in India significantly influence the socio and economic demographics of the country. The participation of women in the labor force has helped millions of families pull out of poverty and has also led to job creation. Women are well known for their leadership skills and hence dominate in new age industries. And today on the show, I have the women entrepreneurs who navigated uncharted territories, turned innovative business ideas into successful enterprises. There has been never-ending debate, raging, whether women can have it all or if they need to sacrifice one element of their life in order to achieve success. These women have finally put the debate to rest by living their lives large and creating their own identities. So please welcome Riya Majumdar Singhal. She is the founder and CEO of Ecoware, India's first and largest sustainable packaging company. Priyanka Nijhawan, director at Nijhawan Group. Nijhawan Group is one of the leading travel conglomerates and has vastly diversified entities within the travel industry. Abhilasha Bahuguna, co-founder, Looms of Ladakh, a women-led cooperative that is changing the Pashmina history of Ladakh. I welcome you all on Sunset TV and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Riya, let me begin the show with you.
Sure.
You were awarded with this Nari Shakti Puraskar, highest civilian honor for women in this country. You started Ecoware, convinced Indian Railways to switch to biodegradable trays. Tell me, how did your journey begin as an entrepreneur?
Sure. So I started Ecoware in 2009. I used to work for Pfizer in the UK and I got married and I moved to India. And my father-in-law is a serial entrepreneur and he's honestly the one that inspired me to become one. I'd had enough of the pharmaceutical world and decided that I wanted to do something different. And I think India definitely required a change. We have, no waste segregation systems. Our landfills are ever growing. And we were just using way too much plastic that wasn't good for us or the environment. And Ecoware was born to create something that was safe for the environment as well as humanity, right? So it didn't change the nutritional value of the food that you put in it, and it wasn't going to lie in a landfill and outlive you. For me, the whole anti-plastics thing started very young. When I was 19, my mom had breast cancer for the first time. We were sort of educated about the lifestyle changes that were needed, to reduce risk of disease. And one of those was reducing your exposure to plastics. Obviously, when I went on to work at Pfizer, and specifically in oncology, that sort of deepened my knowledge as well. So we wanted to create something that was safe, that was authentic, because there's so much greenwash out there. And that it was purpose-led. So we're really proud of the impact that we've created. We've displaced over 1 billion pieces of plastic. 100% of our revenue is derived from a circular economy model. 30% of our team are women, which is fantastic. And from a health perspective, you've got fewer people using plastic. Our journey with the Indian Railways started in 2010. I had the opportunity to work with the Commonwealth Games, and IRCTC were one of the vendors at that time. And our relationship started then. And I think in about 2016, we approached them and we said that, look, you're talking about the railways being green. Let's talk about, the food and the F&B side of it as well.
Right.
So my co-founder, who's my husband, he and I worked together and we developed a product, and our team, we developed a product that was bespoke to the railways. So, and that was fantastic because you've reached suddenly, from a small enterprise, you're suddenly catering to the largest meal service provider in the country.
Absolutely.
And you're able to reach so many more people, right? Which is fantastic. The Nari Shakti Puraskar was absolutely amazing, obviously, and what an honor.
I'm sure.
I think I spent most of my time thinking, I don't want to trip on this red carpet.
I'm sure.
But I think what was really empowering for me was, at the time, the Honorable Minister, Maneka Gandhi, said to us that, this isn't for what you have done, this is for what you can do.
Absolutely. So this is for what you can do.
Absolutely.
And your potential, realizing your potential.
And that just fueled something more inside me, right? And it's been amazing because it's also opened this whole arena of helping empower other women.
Sure.
I've suddenly had the opportunity to work with CII, which is a confederation of Indian industry,
Sure.
with the Indian Women Network, with the National Commission for Women, get more women into manufacturing, empower women, other women through entrepreneurship. And it's just been absolutely amazing. So it's, that's what it's been, that's the meaning behind it, really, for
Absolutely.
me.
So that's an inspiring story, I'm sure, for others as well. Priyanka, talking about you. You perhaps in India are considered as the Zarina of the travel industry.
I mean,
Tell me, it was considered that travel and tourism, perhaps, at least a few years back, was a man's world. Has that changed now?
so thank you very much, firstly, for the title. I would want to, I don't know if I should just graciously accept it, but yes, it's so wonderful to hear something like that. Yes, the travel and tourism per se definitely has been a male-dominated sector, more so because of the nature of the work. It involves you to travel a lot, when you're really, talking about travel, especially the sector that I look at, which is mainly representation. When you're trying to sell a destination, when you're trying to promote a particular hotel, you cannot do it unless you yourself have gone there. Secondly, there are sections which are very sales oriented. So again, it has been very male dominated until a few years back. But now increasingly we have more and more women coming in. Especially I feel that, all the attributes that women have, things like multitasking, detailing, getting into, minute planning. So all of this is it really adds value to what, it really adds value to our sector. So this is why we are seeing a lot of women coming in. On the sales side of it, we still are restricted, and we see more women in the travel and tourism industry in South India than in North India. But I'm sure that is going to definitely change. But yes, the landscape is looking very, very different at this point of time.
All right. So again, inspiring story there. And Abhilasha, you're bridging this financial gap and bringing the craft of Ladakhis to the fore. Tell us, how did your journey begin?
The pursuit that I am on, I feel grateful for my childhood experiences and upbringing. Born to a family of a freedom fighter, my grandfather, I have seen him as a person with strong integrity, with strong writing skills, which he used to articulate and draft these letters to attract the attention of those in power to help the people in his community. I saw my father while he was working with SCRT, working for the disadvantaged children and discussing that over meals. I saw him working on the curriculum framework and sharing with us the why and how of it. I saw my mother, like so many other women in this country, getting married at 19 and still not giving up on themselves despite all obstacles. She completed her education with us as children and had a respectable job. So all these have instilled in me a belief in the human will and how to work together.
Sure.
Looms of Ladakh for me, it was a fleeting moment when I was in Delhi, and December 2013, I just put up a Facebook post. I was in those younger days when you feel strongly about and you have still not learned how to weigh what to write and what not to write to manage perception, right?
Sure.
So I just put it out there that we need to have this global luxury brand owned by the people from India. Having said this, Looms of Ladakh is a shared dream.
Yeah.
Looms of Ladakh name has been given by the locals. I feel I am just a cog in the wheel. मैं हूँ because वहाँ वो औरतें हैं जो चाहती हैं मैं रहूँ. Because 2015 से Government of India has been working on Pashmina promotion program. But लेकिन कितना filter down हुआ producer owners को.
True.
तो I'm proud to say कि Looms of Ladakh की वजह से इंडिया में काफ़ी लोगों को शायद पता चला होगा कि लद्दाख is the source region of Pashmina and yak.
Right. Right. So that was your journey. But talking about women-led enterprises, Riya, do you think that funding for them, it's difficult than men-led enterprises?
Oh gosh, how long do we have? No,
Please go ahead.
Look, absolutely. There is no doubt about that this the funding landscape needs to change, right? And certainly post-COVID, because the impact of COVID has not been gender neutral. We've certainly seen more women-led enterprises shut down. We've seen more women walk away from the retract from the workforce, and we need to support women-led enterprises. So I think there's certainly things that we need to do to change the landscape. We need to have investors that have specific mandates that focus on women-led enterprises, and not just women-led, but women-owned enterprises, right? The second is, look at the LPs. You've got to have more LPs investing in these funds to then put pressure on the funds to kind of, create impact moving forward. We've got to have more financial instruments that are focused towards women. A lot of lenders ask for collateral, such as homes or property, etc., that a lot of women don't have in their names. I love absolutely what Mandeshi Bank has done and Chetna Gala Sin has done for rural women, right? And when we're looking at funding women in enterprises, we've got to be inclusive. So it's not just the urban woman, it's the rural woman, let's get all women from all walks of life and be able to support them. And I think we should have policy, absolutely better policy, where we've got, whether it's a financial recovery package or incentives. And I think that we should have measurable targets, because I think a lot of these things are announced, but they may not be implemented. And somewhere down the line, we've sort of lost the purpose, right? So measured targets are always a good idea if we have them in place and we know that we're reaching the right people. But, I think investing in women just makes good business sense. You've got long-lasting impact, you've got financial gains, and they influence future generations. So it's the best way to go.
Makes good business sense.
Absolutely.
Let me take that to Abhilasha. Abhilasha, you're part of this women-led cooperative. We're talking about rural-urban divide. How do we bridge that?
So we have to make these rural women who already have these innate skills, they already handling, कहते हैं ना पहाड़ की औरतें हों, कहीं की भी औरतें हों, they're handling their livestock, their children खूंटे में बांध के, they're cutting grass, their children are doing well in education. You just have to give them that opportunity. One-time training is not enough. You have to handhold them and stick with them. You have to make them own the vision and to have that ability to execute that vision. And they have to learn and iterate that. And that is what is required to scale up a business.
True. Absolutely. Priyanka, do you concur?
Yeah, I completely agree with both the points, with what Ria said about, what we need to do in terms of policy and what Abhilasha is saying for rural women. I think the only thing that I want to add is, COVID might not be all that bad for women. I particularly do feel that, this whole work from home culture, which was being discussed, but it, even to people like me, it sounded more like a Gen Z thing. It was Gen Z thing. It wasn't even about millennials. It was about this new set of people. I think this whole work from home is really going to help us bring a lot of women back into the workforce. Those women who actually had to take a sabbatical, they had to take a back seat because they were, there are pressing demands again for home. And of course, we can't even get into that discussion on how, the Indian patriarchal system works and home is always a woman's responsibility. And we end up always kind of, choosing home over workforce. Most of us end up doing that. So this work from home post-COVID is definitely going to, is going to and is helping us bring women back into the workforce.
Ria, you were agreeing with her vehemently.
Look, I think that the work from home concept is certainly less alien, as pre-COVID as it is now. I personally, I think after 2 years, we were talking about this, after 2 years of COVID, I absolutely hate work from home. I would much rather be in my office and, focusing on what I need to do. That's not to say that I can't work from home, but it's just a preference now. I think that a lot of women previously, we do lose women, right? They take career breaks, etc. They're always hesitant coming back. So I think work from home bridges that quite nicely. And we're probably less likely to lose more women now with that concept being less alien, certainly. So, yeah.
All right, let's also talk about challenges and roadblocks. Abhilasha, let's begin with you. What was the biggest challenge that you faced?
Immediately, I can recall the three, challenges. the wife tag, the local landscape, the lack of finance and grants. If I elaborate on this, wife tag with me, of course, we were carrying the weight of a 6-month skill development project, 3 months kuch gaon mein, 3 months kuch aur gaon mein. And not only me, our rural women owners also, कि ये गांव की महिलाएं हैं, ये इनको कोऑपरेटिव की तरह आप मत रजिस्टर करिए, they can work for others. So उनके साथ भी वो टैग था. The second thing, if I talk about the local landscape, it is very difficult to disrupt a local marketplace which is controlled by local elites. Having said that, I understand the context. I realize कि अगर हमें long term में we have to aspire for sustainability, then the system has to behave as facilitator and do the capacity building of these local leadership, right? But during the incubation period, we did face that. Thankfully, अब सब साथ हैं. वो ये ना अपनी लकीर लंबी करते जाओ, people जुड़ते चले जाएंगे, है ना?
Right.
The third challenge was, as I mentioned, we had the weight of this 6-month skill development project. We did not have any grant or financial support, which is generally there in the Indian ecosystem for developing an off-farm or a farmer-producer company in the first 3 to 4 years.
Right.
So it was just the women कि इसे मरने नहीं देंगे, and we stick together. Thankfully now, during the incubation stage, we worked on product range development, we worked on building second line of leadership and effective communication. Because कोई आपको दबने ना दे, उसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि हम बोलें कि हम क्या सोच रहे हैं और क्या कर रहे हैं through different mediums. Even the women, they had to start speaking about, you know, what they're doing. That is only in the long run people will understand that these rural women can own and run it.
Sure.
So now we have been able to get substantial funding in the 5th year, and we will be working on various physical infrastructure, digital infrastructure, capacity building, marketing, promotion, everything. I'm very proud to say कि जो ज़मीन है वो औरतों ने सबने मिलके पैसों से खरीदी है, revenue generation से खरीदी है, and we're going to work on it.
All right. Okay, Surya, before I talk about your roadblocks, Priyanka, what brought that smirk on your face when she talked about wife tag?
Oh, I mean, I thought that was the first thing most of us were going to say, right? I think it's something, you know, when we were sitting at backstage and discussing, and we said, you know, it's kind of such a done thing. Some of us want to fight it out. The others kind of act smarter and say, fine, let you use the wife tag. I'm going to deal with it and I'll move on. Or what Abhilasha said, you know, you just kind of keep growing, apni laki lambi karte jao, and people are going to really learn, you know. You know, the thing is that as a society, and especially what people like us were growing up when, you know, we're now in our 40s, you know, our mothers were not working. Most of our mothers, there was a very small percentage who were working, and they looked at the daughters and said, my God, you know, they were thinking Lakshmi Bai. So even now when I'm sometimes teaching my son and I'm looking, you know, I read that Lakshmi Bai poem, I actually get goosebumps because I've grown up listening to that, right?
Yeah.
So we were growing up as Lakshmi Bais and we were supposed to be leading this and leading that. But nobody got the men ready, you know, so who was going to deal with us? So I'm hoping that as mothers, we are going to kind of change that. So this wife tag, etc. So if you actually ask me about the roadblock, the whole roadblock that most of us face is the whole home and work balance, right? Of course, the financial, which is like a different story. But one common thing at any point, you know, the lowest at the highest. I mean, even so, I follow, I idolize Indra Nooyi, I read a book. But that whole story of, you know, I think once there was an article before I read a book about how, you know, she would be away and then the kid would call and the secretary would pick up the phone. You know, in my office, whoever read that article, there was a murmur saying, my God, is that how, is that the way one wants to bring up their children? But just the fact that she had the support system, or to make sure that all of us have the support system. You know, today I have girls in my office who are really under 30 because this 20 to 30 is really adding a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
I was just telling Ria. When I look at them, they're recently married, and I hope she listens to this because she'll hold me accountable that I said this on air.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking at her and I know soon she's, and I'm very active with, you know, when somebody's saying I'm waiting to have a baby, I'm like, no, but you life has to go on. There's never, you can't say, I'll do this and then I'll move on to this. But when I'm looking at my own girls and I feel very proud of them, I'm literally in my head thinking one day I'm going to get a creche into the office, because once she is having a baby, I need to support her.
True.
And let's just have each other's back. And sorry, but men do. I mean, look at their washroom discussions compared to ours. You know,
right.
they've got their back, and we need to kind of move on to that and be proud of each other.
Riya, you wanted to pitch in?
No, I agree with Priyanka. I think it takes a village to raise a child. There's no doubt about that. And I think for you to have that, strike that work-home balance and to be able to be successful at work and home, you do need a solid support system. And that support can come, from your office colleagues or girlfriends. I mean, I've had girlfriends who, our kids are the same age, and it's like, okay, I'm sending mine to yours after school. Please bathe, feed, change them in their pajamas and send them home, you know, and it's bedtime. And like, we do that for each other, and to kind of take the pressure off. And so I think it's much needed. I think you're right. I mean, there is a big boys club, so why not have our own, right?
No, and I think one thing is to get the pressure off. The other thing is to get the guilt off.
Exactly.
We all grow up thinking that this is our primary responsibility, but then why are you spending so much money educating us and the next generation? So this mindset shift, I think it's really hopefully going to happen with, say, our generation of women who are out there working, who probably are not, who are okay with a boy playing with a doll and the girl saying, I don't like babies, I mean, really, frankly, that happens in my house.
True. And I think also with our kids, like I have a son and a daughter, and it's really important for them to know that my husband and I have equal responsibilities. It isn't that one has to be in the kitchen and someone else is doing something else. So, it's like a gender divide on tasks, right? Like everyone does everything. Like
True. Absolutely.
So, as long as I think, your kids grow up seeing that, and that's, a norm, that becomes a norm, then that's what they're going to take forward as well. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So before we sign off, we're talking about women entrepreneurs shaping India's future. Your message to the budding entrepreneurs, to the budding women entrepreneurs. Riya, let's begin with you.
So I can share what's worked for me. I mean, I think the greatest injustice is not trying. Okay, so if you have something you want to do, go out and do it. The best thing you could do for yourself is learn from any mistake or any life experience and move on. So for me, a failure is only a failure if you haven't learned from something, right? So if you try something and it doesn't work, learn from it, evolve, improve it, and try again, basically, is my logic. And I think it pays to be humble, to be to put your head down and be the hardest worker in the room. So just focus on what you want to do and get on with it. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You can have it all, right?
Sure.
And those are sort of, I mean, that's what I grew up, that's what I want my kids growing up knowing, especially my daughter. I don't want her to have to ever think that she can only do one thing and not the other. So that would be my message.
All right, Priyanka.
Well, my message would be firstly to the ones who are already in the workforce. First thing, change is constant. The only way you can grow is when you always look at yourself and you want to tell yourself what next. Because we've all seen what next. In the last 10 years, the way I have seen the work culture change from the polycoms, see, I remember the name now, from those polycoms and dial-ins to taking a conference call from anywhere, moving on to Zoom calls, changing, and we do very active PR. So the whole landscape changing from physical medium to now completely digital influencers. Sure. So change, always embrace change, always be willing to learn. And also, while I agree with having it all, I think we all need to be a little easier on ourselves. You have bad days, just hang in there, So when you have bad days and when you sometimes are pushed to the brink to say this or that, hang in there, because eventually it all works. The third and the most important message to all the women who are right now studying, aspiring to be working, please go ahead and make sure that your education is put to good use. It really is worth it. It's not only required for the society to look at you in a certain respectful way. Right. I think that's the respect you really earn in your own eyes when you look into the mirror every morning.
Absolutely.
So please go ahead and stand up on your own 2 feet.
Abhilasha, I have last 60 seconds on the show. Your message.
So there are going to be a lot of setbacks which will help you pivot, keep pivoting your approach, reassessments. It will help you understand the importance of persistence and to have faith in yourself and the people that you are with. The second thing that I would like to mention is appreciate your worth as a woman and also the worth of other women.
True.
Collaborate.
True.
And just persevere. Finally, values are very important. Sustainability is not just about using it as a marketing buzzword.
Sure.
Businesses have a lot of potential to transform societies. So just look up what a systems approach is. Try to move in that direction, trying to achieve multiple SDGs together, because 2030 में कोई exam pass नहीं करना है. Long term sustainability is the goal. और मुझे लगता है the more and more senior leaders and women I'm coming in contact with through Indian Women Network, I feel they're all in this journey for purpose.
Right, absolutely.
And they can do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was a very positive message, and I'm sure that it was an inspiring story for our viewers as well. With that, it's a wrap on this edition. Thanks for watching, and keep watching Sunset TV. Namaskar.